Big thanks to Bandai Namco Toys and Collectibles America for sending this out. You can check out Bandai Collect and links to buy this in the description.
Kaiju, turtles, Dragon Ball, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews.
Hey, hello there, collector. Steven here, and welcome to another SH Figuarts review, Marvel style. Today we're going to be taking a look at, from the movie Thor, Love and Thunder, Mighty Thor, or Jane Foster. Yep, see, I didn't do the AC/DC Love and Thunder there. Anyway, for today we have not Jane Foster here, which, interestingly enough, in the promotional pictures up to this figure's release and up to the release of Love and Thunder, they did a pretty good job revealing that this was not Jane Foster. So kudos to Machinations. 2 claps for you. Regardless of that being said, we have Jane Foster finally in the SH Figuarts lineup and donning Thor's armor with the Mjolnir. Mjolnir, we'll go with that. Whether or not you liked Love and Thunder the movie, we do have her in the lineup now. Cool action figure. Is it going to be worth the purchase? Well, let's take a look to see whether or not she's going to be worth adding into your collection. I think this is one you're going to want to watch. We got some fun stuff to say. Ignore the clavicle area. We'll talk about that in the articulation. So, in terms of sculpt and paint for the default face, and for everything that comes stock on the figure, I do think she actually looks rather good. For the paint applications and for the cape, everything is good. Nothing's out of line. The masking is rather solid. I don't really have any issues. And especially when we take a look at the face printing technology that Tamashii Nations had used here, everything looks rather solid. And considering we have gone so many years now with that development of the technology, it is expected by this point, considering we have some very good likenesses that have come out, particularly from Tamashii Nations and Bandai overall, it is good to see that they were able to recreate this here. It does look like she's wearing lipstick, and she does have a little freckle on her face, which, looking at some other units, she does have that as well. So kudos to Bandai for keeping that consistent. Overall, I don't really have anything negative to say here. The only real quality control notion I could bring up is going to be there's going to be one little thread that is sticking out on the cape, but otherwise, again, let's ignore the clavicle area around the collar. We'll talk about that next. Overall, Jane does look rather good. Thankfully here, in terms of articulation, Jane really isn't that much of a plain Jane. We do have some points we got to really talk about, and a couple of tips. Yeah. All right, so a few things. So first and foremost, we're going to pop the head off, but let's take a look at the movement. So we're going to have a usual ball joint system for a usual Figuarts. So she can look up about that far, right? Look down about that far because she has that long hair, hint. Side to side, no issues, right? Well, when it comes to swapping out the head parts, because she is going to have a helmeted head, here's what I like to do, okay? And when you pop off the head, you're going to notice she comes with alternate hair parts, right? We'll talk about that in the accessories. Here's what I like to do. Just remove that. And you're going to see that actually in some of the shots in this review. Pop that in, and look at that. Look at that. Significantly better range of movement. And honestly, yeah, okay, that may be canon. That may be how long her hair is, but that looks fine. She looks fine. If anything, maybe her neck looks a little too long, but that looks fine. Just fun. But anyway, for the neck articulation, barbell style or double axis ball joint for how the head plugs in, then that plugs down there, and then the neck portion actually moves as well. But do keep something in mind if you are going to keep that hairpiece on. We're going to skip the shoulders for now and continue on down. She does have an ab crunch, which really moves, which is excellent. Now the waist joint, which is going to tie into the hip joints. First and foremost, the skirt, the dressing for her, is going to be made of a pliable type of plastic, but it's not super duper pliable where it's going to be real flimsy, and it's going to hold shape extremely well. I do get a little bit of resistance whenever I kick her legs out to the side, but the reason why I'm talking about her waist joint in conjunction with the legs is she's not really using, from what I can see, the 1.0 pull down style double hinge hip joints for the Figuarts. Instead, there's going to be a ball joint that plugs up into here and then a Y split to her hips. So that's going to be about the range of movement. So she can kick about that far forward and back, use those gaps to your advantage there, and about that far out to the side, realistically speaking. She is still going to have the dedicated thigh swivel, which is going to be found on these figures, along with a double hinge knee. Okay, because of the way her armor is sculpted, for ankle joints, we are going to have a little bit of hindered movement, but she can basically get some good poses in there for her feet, which, it's going to be serviceable, and then a toe hinge. So why didn't I talk about the arms just yet? Because we're going to follow that into the cape, which is going to be just like the Thor released, which is going to be a bendy wire. No real issues there. Again, like Thor, I put this thing through its paces, crumpled it up. It's good. It can hold its pose. So, arms. Okay. Do we have a butterfly hinge system? I can't really quite tell if that piece of her flesh-colored plastic is a butterfly hinge, but we do have ball joints where the arms plug in, and we are going to have hinges where she can raise and lower her arms. We are going to have dedicated bicep swivels, so this way she can spin her arm around, and we're going to have single hinge elbows, which also do feature just a little bit of a swivel, which is good. Good. Do they swivel where the forearms are? No. But for the wrists, we are going to have the standard Figuarts style, where there's going to be a peg that plugs into the forearm, a hinge, and then a ball joint where the hand plugs in. So this way, when you have the hand plugged in, you can hinge that way, turn the swivel, hinge that way, and so forth. Now, since I'm pretty much wrapped up in terms of how it was recorded, the review, the cape, the way that it plugs in is it plugs into these pegs actually here. Let me demonstrate. Now you see what happened there. So unfortunately, this one popped off kind of like so and fell on my floor. And it got scraped up. So with that in mind, that is something the instructions kind of sort of tell you about. Okay, so it's easy to get this all reconnected. You just have to make sure you're fishing it through correctly. And you should be good to go. It doesn't help when you have big fingers like I do, and you're working smaller spaces. There we go. Okay, but now watch this. If you hold it in place while you pose the arm, it's not going to pop out. So there you go. So do we have some detriments to the articulation? I wouldn't necessarily call it detriments. I would say some stuff that could have just been a little better engineered. She is limited in some spots, but honestly, if you want to get her into a fun pose, you can absolutely do that. Time to talk about accessories, and what do we get? Well, we get her with a helmeted head with the luminous or whited out light blue eyes. We get the Mjolnir, which is all nice and cracked up with 2 effect parts to go along with it, and we get some alternate hand parts. We're going to get some splayed hands, and we're going to get some cupped hands, so this way she can hold the hammer that she is now worthy. So let's go ahead and take a look at the helmet, but first, let's take a look to see how you swap out the head part for the helmet. So like I said before, whenever I'm having her in the default head, I like to take the bottom portion of the hair off. So that's why it's off here. But anyway, you're going to pop the head off, pop the hair off, and that's why you're going to get 2 alternate hair parts. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to put the 2 tail parts on first, then the back hair part, then the helmet. That's how you do it properly. I don't like to put the back hair part on, but nevertheless, here's what it looks like. The helmet does have some rather solid quality control. I will say when you are up close and personal under macro photography, you are going to notice a couple of things that are stray and out of line here and there, but honestly, it isn't that big of an issue. Taking a look at the effect parts that we get here, this is so cool. The Avengers Assemble Thor that I have is currently in storage and I'm not able to get to it, so I cannot do a one-to-one comparison here, but this is so awesome. So we do get the cracked Mjolnir, which the blue lines all throughout. Mwah! Awesome. Amazing. There's nothing on a line here, and how precise this is going to be rather impressive. We do get an exploding effect part, so this way we can have Mjolnir reassemble or explode. It's your figure. You do with it what you want. And then we do have a lightning blast that's going to be coming out of Mjolnir. Maybe it's actually coming in. Who knows? Again, it's your figure. You do with it as you please. Now here's going to be some action shots, so this way you can see how everything can come together. And overall, I think this is a rather solid idea. We can set up a scene here where she's grabbing the hammer, it's coming together, and then she's coming into the mighty Thor persona. She's summoning a thunderbolt from the sky. Thunderbolt Thank you, Pokemon. Anyway, there we go. That's our 360 spin view here. And yeah, like I said, very, very cool. She actually comes toe to toe with more accessories than Thor does. Rather interesting. For what else she could come with, honestly, just another expression. I think that would be it. And then also a support stand and an actual proper lightning effect. I think that would be really cool. But otherwise, I think this is a solid set. But if you do need stands or effect parts, you know I got videos to help you out. And rounding out the review, here is going to be a comparison with both of the currently released Love and Thunder SH Figuarts. Just need gore. Come on, Christian Bale. Let's get it going. Overall, I think size-wise, this is going to be just fine and is rather respectful to not only the actors, but size consistency within the universe. So, buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. In terms of the looks department, she does look rather fine with no real big major issues. When it comes to the articulation, by design, she is a little bit set back. I think this is going to be the first time that Tamashii Nations is going to be engineering a female sculpt with this design with all of the armor, but nevertheless, at this point, maybe they could have done a bit more with double hinges and so forth, considering there are other figures on the market which do utilize that. For the way that the cape is installed on her with the two pegs near the clavicle, the collarbone, it is a bit of a shame that the one does like to pop off, and on mine, it got scratched, but nevertheless, maybe that's a me thing. I don't know. If you are a fan of Mighty Thor, Jane Foster, then congratulations, you have her in the lineup. If not, then okay, she's a great companion piece. You don't have to enjoy her, but somebody else might.
Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now you've heard a lot from me, I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.